their own structures, they're so divided, they don't communicate, they don't talk with each other, and their rules and their enforcement of their rules is not based on practical application. So I just feel that there's a lack of appetite there to truly be inclusive and understand what it means. Well, I think that it's all about meaningful consultation early. And what we have at the moment is a lot of consultation where people with disabilities are brought in at a certain point, but the outputs don't reflect the inputs. So there's a disenfranchisement that happens with people with disabilities because they feel they're not being listened to, and that's because we're in the great budgeting and planning of everything, our views are being taken in, but then they're being deemed as the acceptable compromise to achieve what everything else. So we're the ones that are the sacrifice that has to be made, and I think that's got
progress.
To stop. Okay, well, how can we improve? The first thing is we've got to do is to demystify what UNCRPD is for people on the ground and how it can impact their lives. And I think the structures, well, we've got so many acronyms like the PPNs and the LCDCs and the SPCs. These are all things that alienate people, and people on the ground just can't navigate a way to feel that they can have a difference and they can have involvement. So I think the local authorities we've got to start trying to demystify all that and help people understand how they can have their voice heard and how they can have an input. You know, there are examples around the country where when the voices are listened to, when the structures or the groupings are put in place, where that opinion can be given, progress can be made, and good design and good open thinking is good for everybody. So I think if you can have that open and inclusive environment, you'll get equity for everybody involved. And I think, look, having a disability access officer is great. What they do is they deal with operational issues on the ground. But that's not been adequately assigned or resourced, and I suppose it's nearly an insult to the disability community because it's a sign that it's not being given credence or taken seriously. Whereas actually what we're trying to do is have this conversation. Disability needs to be proved across everything within the organisation, and it's around inclusion and equity. So that's what we're looking for. So you need to have it culturally through leadership, ownership from the leadership from the top down, so that it imbues everything from access to planning to transport to everything that a local council is doing, that it's proofed for that fifth of the population, that 23% who are out there. So if there's an area that the councils can improve, it's that. Well, I think I suppose having looking at good practice, number one, and seeing what's working out there and replicating that. I think if you can consistently include at an early point, you'll avoid rework and you'll avoid the hassle that comes later on, just out of poor planning and poor thinking. I think, culturally, if they can have that consistency across the local authority network about having that leadership from the top down, but I think then that will require some level of ownership. And that maybe it needs to be forced down from a ministerial level into local authority. But if they could avoid that and just have it culturally within there, they can do it. There are examples of it working well out there. Well, I think being willingness to speak up, having a willingness to rock the conventional, to move beyond the standard thinking. I think that not only comes from, it's not a requirement of local authorities alone, it's a requirement of the disability community as well. We need to be open-minded, we need to be inclusive ourselves, and make sure, and then to build our allies. So, there are plenty of other communities out there for whom what we're looking for will affect them. We saw it with the marriage referendum way back when, God, so many years ago now, where the secret to that campaign and success was they made it relevant to everybody, that everybody cared. And we need to do that because we have our allies out there, but we're obviously not motivating them, so we need to do that.